All right, let's adjust this and let's start in 1 minute. Let's go. Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. Hope you're good. You alive? Yes, Alhamdulillah, I am alive. Shahid Iqbal, hey, how's it going? Junaid Munir, love your videos, brother. Thank you so much. Highly appreciate it, Shahid. Ali Mujahid, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. कैसे हैं आप लोग? It's quite late in Pakistan, but I hope you're doing good. Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you, thank you, thank you. वालेकुम अस्सलाम प्रो मज़े हैं गुड वेरी गुड ज़बरदस्त साउंड्स गुड ऑसम ऑसम तो आज हम क्या कर रहे हैं आज हम कुछ एंगुलर का मैजिक करेंगे एंड एसेंशियली वी आर गोइंग टू वर्क ऑन अ फ्रेश ऐप जो मुझे अपने अपने एक फ्रेंड स्लैश कोलीग के लिए एज अ गिफ्ट बनाना है तो वी आर गोइंग टू बी यूजिंग सम Firebase, एंगुलर और कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ें उसके अंदर होंगी कुछ कोड उसमें से ऐसा है जो कि मेरी प्रीवियस ऐप्स में से आ रहा होगा बट कुछ कोड ऐसा भी है जो कि बिल्कुल न्यू होगा तो वी आर गोइंग टू इनकॉर्पोरेट अ कपल ऑफ इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग्स भाई गाइड कर दो खुद को कैसे मोटिवेट करते हैं प्रोग्रामिंग के लिए जुनैद मुनीर पूछ रहे हैं जुनैद मोटिवेशन के लिए बहुत सारी चीज़ें हो सकती हैं एक तो ये कि आप अपने एक ट्विटर का अकाउंट बनाओ अगर अभी तक ट्विटर का अकाउंट नहीं है तो और ऐसे लोगों को फॉलो करो जो कोडिंग करते हों अपना सर्कल ऐसा बनाओ जिसमें कोडिंग वाले लोग मौजूद हों उसके अलावा सेट अ टाइमर अपना गूगल कैलेंडर खोलो और उसके अंदर रोज़ एक टाइम सेट कर लो एक इवेंट बनाओ जो कि रिकरिंग इवेंट हो और उस इवेंट को क्योंकि आप रिकरिंग बना रहे होगे तो यू आर गोइंग टू गेट नोटिफिकेशंस एंड देन यू कैन फॉलो दैट कैलेंडर एज वेल ताकि आपको कोई बता रहा हो बार बार सेकेंडली कोशिश करो कि अकेले मत करो अकेले करोगे तो उसके अंदर प्रॉब्लम यही होता है कि यू हैव नो वन टू चैट अबाउट इट जो कि इतना ज़्यादा फिजिबल नहीं होता तो आई वुड सजेस्ट कि किसी न किसी बंदे के साथ मिलके कर रहे होगे तो ज़्यादा अच्छा होगा तो येस दोज वुड बी माई सजेशंस आई होप दे हेल्प यू तो क्या ख्याल है कोडिंग स्टार्ट करें शैल वी स्टार्ट शैल वी बिगिन जॉन स्टार्ट देखो मोटिवेशन बहुत सारी चीज़ों से आती है मोटिवेशन पैसों से भी आती है मोटिवेशन सेल्फ सेटिस्फैक्शन से भी आती है एक प्रॉब्लम ये है कि हम रोज़ जो है वो घंटों फ़ोन्स में लगा देते हैं, या आई डोंट नो बहुत सारी थॉट्स में लगा लेते हैं। लेकिन सबसे बेसिक चीज़ जो है वो ये है कि यू नीड टू गिव योर सेल्फ सम टाइम, कि आप खुद बैठो, सोचो कि व्हाट इज़ माय गोल इन लाइफ, मुझे क्या करना है, कौन सी ऐसी सिचुएशन है जिसमें मैं बहुत हैप्पी होऊंगा, उस सिचुएशन में मैं कैसा फ़ील कर रहा हूँगा। फॉर एग्जांपल शायद इकबाल कह रहे हैं पैसा ही पैसा होगा, तो सोच सकते हो कि यार अगर मेरे पास ये स्पेसिफिक मोटिवेशन है तो हाउ वुड आई फील, चाहे वो सेल्फ सेटिस्फैक्शन हो, चाहे वो यू कैन से और क्या चीज़ें हो सकती हैं, मेकिंग योर फ्रेंड्स प्राउड या मेकिंग योर फैमिली प्राउड, ये भी एक मोटिवेशन हो सकती है कि अच्छा मुझे अपनी फैमिली को कुछ करके दिखाना है, या मुझे अपने दोस्तों को कुछ करके दिखाना है, या अपने सिबलिंग्स को कुछ करके दिखाना है, या फिर मुझे पैसे कमाने हैं, या फिर मैं ये चाहता हूँ कि यार मैं खुद को अच्छा फील करूँ क्योंकि मुझे ये स्पेसिफिक चीज़ आती होगी। तो रियली डिपेंड्स। हाँ, आपने एंगुलर पहले भी करवाई है ट्यूटोरियल्स में, शाहजेब अली? आई डोंट रियली नो, आई एम प्रीटी श्योर कि मैंने काफ़ी एंगुलर की एप्लीकेशंस बनाई हैं। हैकाथॉन्स की जो स्ट्रीम्स थी, मेरे ख्याल से 6-7 स्ट्रीम्स थी, वो सारी की सारी एंगुलर पे थी। तो एंगुलर पे काफ़ी तो नहीं, मतलब इनफ हो चुकी हैं स्ट्रीम्स एज फार एज आई रिमेंबर। लेट्स ब्रिंग बॉटम बार टू द पेज, लेट्स गो। आज हम क्या कर रहे हैं? आज हम क्या कर रहे हैं? आज हम एंगुलर पे काम कर रहे हैं, तो लेट्स अपडेट द बॉटम बार, और इसको हम कहते हैं वी आर वर्किंग ऑन with, or we could say something like Angular and Firebase. And save this, working on an app for a friend as a gift. So I think this should be good. Acha. So now that we have this, code isn't showing perfectly. What do you mean? Is code too small? Is it good now? Are you watching on a phone? Are you watching on a desktop? कहाँ पे देख रहे हो? It depends on where you're looking or what you're doing right now. Good, cool. Okay, so let's begin. I'm gonna open a couple of things. So पहली चीज़ तो ये कि we're going to be looking into the latest version of Angular. उसके अंदर कुछ interesting चीज़ें आई हैं, तो we are also going to look into those. Do we have standalone components? No, not here. तो सबसे पहले let's actually make this like this, and then let's see. And we would also have to create a new project. Let's open a terminal. ये एप्लीकेशन की एक ये इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ है कि ये सब कुछ जो है वो बिल्कुल पीछे ले जाती है, विच आई डोंट रियली लाइक। ओके, तो इस वर्ल्ड की विंडो नीचे चली गई, ये यहाँ पे आ गया। लेट्स गो डेस्कटॉप वर्क। फेसबुक पे कमेंट है एहसन भाई, उर्दू में जावास्क्रिप्ट ट्यूटोरियल पॉसिबल है? यस, बिल्कुल पॉसिबल है। और एक्चुअली लेट्स गो विद एक्सपेरिमेंट्स, एंड वी कुड गो विद, सबसे पहले हम लेटेस्ट वर्जन ऑफ एंगुलर इंस्टॉल कर लेते हैं। तो एम इंस्टॉल -d और एंगुलर CLI। तो हम एंगुलर CLI को इंस्टॉल करेंगे। उसके बाद जो ये एप्लीकेशन मैं बनाने जा रहा हूँ, ये इंस्पिरेशन लेगा मेरी एक और ऐप है जो मैंने पहले बनाई थी, इट्स कॉल्ड ऐप फ्लैशबैक। तो आइडिया बेसिकली ये है कि हम सेम कार्ड यूज़ करें, राइट? हम सेम कार्ड यूज़ करेंगे, एक्चुअली सेम पेज यूज़ करेंगे, और एप्लीकेशन के अंदर एसेंशियली ये होगा कि हम जैसे ही रिफ्रेश करेंगे तो there will be a new card shown every time we refresh the page, and there would be multiple sayings. For example, there is a saying like I don't know what's called, Chris, no, what's it called, Chuck Norris jokes API. So just like this one, if I go here, I get a random joke every time. As you can see, Chuck Norris keeps a grenade launcher hidden inside his grand piano. The Avengers assemble, Chuck Norris disassemble. uh, do we also have images? Like, no, we don't have it, but we can go to the URL. So like this one, so we have a card in which there is a saying, so we would implement something simple like previous next, but there's a random saying every time. So you could refresh. Oh, you cannot refresh. Let's see. If I go to chucknorris.io, let's see if I can find a random one. Yeah, jokes random. So a random page always shows a random one, and that's how it works. When do you create a project from scratch? Luis Alberto, I'm doing it right now. We're going to create a project from scratch right now. So we have installed the latest version of Angular CLI, which means now I can do ng-version, and then it would show me 14.2 or something, or is it already 15 RC? Is that the same one? No. ng help. It's called ng version without anything else. So Angular CLI version 14.2.7. Greeting from Guayaquil, Ecuador. Thank you. Welcome to the stream. Alrighty. So now that we have a new Angular application, we can do ng new, and then we'll call it. Now I don't really want to give away the name, but maybe I should. I don't know. This is supposed to be a surprise gift for a friend, but I'm not really sure if I should make the project name right now on the stream, because if we don't finish it tonight, then it's gonna be not a surprise anymore. So what do we do? Should I reveal the name? Or we could say something like JH says. All right, so this is going to be an application which is for a friend, and there are some sayings from the friend that I need to show. So I'm naming this application ng-new JH says, and I'm going to enable routing by default, and then I'm going to use the style as SCSS for this one. Okay, so notice all of these things. Your friend might be watching. I'm not really sure. It's like 10:30 p.m. here. I've not seen, or I've not known if they watch it, but they're also in Sweden, so they're probably still awake. But yeah, anyways, let's go. So we got GSS routing style SCSS. I think that's pretty much it, what I would want to create. And once I do so, it should create a complete application for me. This is what I love about Angular, that you can configure it with a single command and it creates a new application for you, which is absolutely brilliant. Now, when we would have all of this created, then we are going to start looking on how we can add some random things, and then it would be shown like this at the end. So let me also pull up this project. I hope I can find it. It should be, let me see if I can find it. So it should be open or a new window maybe. Faizan Mustafa Qadri, hi, 14-year-old web developer here. Hello, Faizan. What do you develop on, Faizan? What technologies do you use? Super interested. So we go with the folder, we go to desktop. I believe it should be experiments. Do we see flashback here? No, we don't. Should we see in contributions? Do we have flashback here? No, we don't. Then we see personal. We don't have it there. Interesting. I may have to then download it. Contributions. Or do I call it memory? Actually, let me search it. So memory, if we can find it. And then in the meantime, let's see if our application is generated. So our application is generated now. I can go ahead and say code and then JH so we can open it as well. And this guy is still trying to find the folder. It's going to take a lot of time. Muhammad Emil, Assalamu alaikum brother. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let me actually find the folder. So it should be in desktop. I'm gonna cancel this. I'm gonna cancel this. Let's see if I can find it. So and memory is not here. Desktop contributions, memory, meme box, no. Can I find memory, please? Memory. It's finding a lot of things, but the folder that I really want. Or would I just clone it then? Let's actually clone it. Let's see if I can find it on my GitHub. So if I go to github.com/snir/flashback, is that the one? Then do I have it forked from there? This was 10 months ago, and this is the one that we had. So I'm gonna clone it actually, so we can run it. Let's see, flash back. The Windows search is so bad. It's actually created inside here, so we could go cd work, or actually personal. Then we could go git clone. We create this flashback project, we code flashback so we can open it, and I think we should be good. So let's see. We can close this guy and open this one. Wait a second, please come here. Okay, come on. All right, so in here we should have the package installed, so we could do npm. Is it npm or yeah, it's npm. So now we have two projects. One is the new project JH says that we have just opened, and the second project is the flashback, which I have to copy some code from. So how do we get started on this? First of all, this is a new project, or this JH says it's a new project. So I'm going to run npm start, which will run ngserve. So this is an Angular project which we have just created by running the command, and the command was this one. So we ran ng-new JH says routing style SCSS. Then this app was created, and now we are running ngserve. So this should be served to the browser. So let's try opening it as soon as this is done. So let's see. And I'm going to make sure that I don't have a lot of other things that are going on. So I could stop this server and let's kill this guy. Alrighty. If I switch my screens to just chatting and screen round and cam, this still works. The bottom banner that you see here, this was supposed to come from a live site, but it is still working even if I've stopped the server, because I think the OBS window caches it. In any case, let's run JSS, and also let's turn the flashback as well. Right now, my PC is doing a lot of stuff. For example, installing the node modules and then also building the app. So now that we have the app running, let's go to localhost 4200. And this is a default application out of the box from Angular, which contains a header. It contains a couple of things here and some links here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take inspiration from the flashback application. So once we have this installed, we're going to copy some stuff from here. So let's see. One of the things that I remember from the flashback app is I used Tailwind CSS in this. If I'm right, yeah, we do have the Tailwind config JS here, as you can see. So we would have to add Tailwind CSS to this project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install Tailwind CSS into Angular application. So we can say tailwindcss.com, get started, and then we can use framework guidelines and Angular. And here we got it. So what we need to do is we have already created the new project. We now need to run this and then npx tailwind css in it. So I'm going to go to jhsays, which is our application. And I'm going to go ahead and say npm install -d tailwind css post css auto prefixer. Now notice that we're using the post css and auto prefixer. These basically work with the app to generate the final css. So once we have run this command, we can run npx tailwind init. So we can go back to our app jhsays, and here we can say npx tailwind css init. Now this creates a new file here called tailwind config.js or something. Yeah, it's called tailwind.config.js, which has almost everything empty, but just this content and theme. So what I would want to do is I would want to go to my Tailwind configuration and essentially add the HTML and CSS, but I'm going to copy it from here. So here you can see that it's source, HTML, and TypeScript. So I'm going to go back to jhsays, and here I'm going to add this. Now this is important. We want to tell Angular which projects or which folders to look for the CSS classes. So we type our CSS into the HTML files. So we are telling Angular that, hey, look in the source folder, which is here. And then inside there, if you find any HTML or TypeScript file, then you basically apply Tailwind CSS on top of this. Now this has two reasons. One, we could be using an HTML file where we would add those styles. But another one is also that when you create a component, you have two options to define the template. You either define the template right here, something like this, right? You could define it like this, and you could say something like h1, and here you could say title, and something like this. So if I do this and go back to my browser, you will see that we just have this HTML what we rendered. But the other option is that instead of having a template, you could use template URL and define or basically provide where the HTML exists. And this component's HTML exists right here. So we are giving this a path. And if we save this, you're going to see instead of the title, we render everything here. So that's why the CSS classes of Tailwind CSS could be either in the HTML here, or it could actually be in the component file if we are just using a template right here, right? So both of them are possible. So that's why in the Tailwind config CSS or Tailwind config JS, we define both of these things, that any file that starts with a .html or .cs or .ts, we're going to apply Tailwind to that, right? So we save this now. And I'm also going to copy some theme from my other app. So in here, we have the colors, purple, yellow, pink. So I'm going to copy those. So I can go ahead and here we can do theme, extend, and we have these colors. Now that we have this Tailwind CSS stuff defined, let's see what else the instructions say. So once we have defined this, I need to import this line into my styles.css. So I'm going to go to my styles.scss, and on top here, I can add these things. And now I should be able to just use Tailwind CSS anywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and save this and restart my server by running npm start. Um, and once we do so, you will see that we should be able to now use the Tailwind CSS in our front-end application. So let's quickly give it a try. So in here, if I go and, for example, for this part where it says resources, I could go ahead and find this in the HTML, right? And h2, and I can give this a class. So I can say class, and now I can say text dash, and here you will now start seeing that I can provide these values like 2xl, 5xl. These are coming directly from Tailwind CSS extension, and I can see what the output would be. So text 5xl means font size 3 rem and line height 1. So if I just save this, you will see that the resources is now bigger. So Tailwind CSS classes are working perfectly on our project now. Super cool. I'm going to revert this back and make it as it was before. Now the fun part, I'm going to actually minimize this so we don't have to see this all the time. What I want to do now is to get rid of all the components. So everything. So I'm going to get rid of everything from top to bottom, right? And now what I want to do is, as you can see, there's nothing on the page now because we have removed it. I could add something here like Ahsan, and that shows here. So what I want to do is I want to create some components. So by default, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create first a random route. So what I want to do is I want to be able to show a particular random saying from this JH. So the JH says would, as I mentioned, it would be something like this. So a Chuck Norris joke by default. So if I go to random, you can see that every time this gets a random joke. So similarly, we would have a random joke shown inside this little widget that you see here, right? So how do we go about this? First of all, let's create a random URL where we would show a random joke. Okay. So, or actually, let me think. Yeah, let's keep this simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually download all the random jokes and just show them. So what I would do is I would create a component and I'll call it saying, because JH says, and then we have a saying. So we can say something like ngg, and here I'm just going to lazy load it. So I can actually create a lazy loaded standalone component. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say nggc components, and here, or I could actually say pages, and I could say something like saying, and then the saying is going to be a component itself. Or should I say module? Because let me think. So we got an app, then we got saying, and I'm not really sure how we should structure the new code. So maybe we could say something like saying, and then that would be its own component. And then inside, if we had okay, let's make it like this: pages, and then we say sayings. And that's pretty much it. I think that's what we need for this component. So we could say saying, just do this, and then this should create a new folder inside called pages, and then saying. And you can see that as clean as possible, as quick as possible, this creates a new component file. Now every component in Angular has 4 different files. One is the HTML, and this is to keep the concerns like separation of concerns, right? So we have an HTML, we have the styles file, we have its component definition where you can define the variables and the methods or the functions, and then we have a test file, right? So we're going to start with the HTML, but first of all, what I want to do is I want to go ahead here and I want to call this standalone. Now this is a new thing that came with Angular, that I can use this standalone component, so it doesn't require a module, and this makes it very easy for us to work with. And now what I want to do is, since I've mentioned this as a standalone, I can go ahead in the routing and set this routing. So right now you will notice that in our application, you would see that it cannot be declared in an ng module. Yes. So I need to remove it from the app module. So saying component, I'm going to remove it from this. When we create a new component, by default, it goes ahead and adds it to the app module file, just like this here. So we want to remove it. We don't want this to be added. I believe there's a way to tell Angular to do this. Let me try to see if I can find it. So it should be ng-gc. And if I do help, I think there should be a definition on if we want a module or no. So in this case, if I do the name of the component, force, export flat, and then we got skip import. Do not import this component into the owning ng module. This is the one that we actually wanted. So we want to say skip import. Let's create a new component, and we are going to see if this adds this into the module or not. Remember that the previous one was added to the app module. So if I go ahead and say ng-gc, and here we say something like test, which is a test component, or test calculator, and then we say skip import. This should mean that it would create the folder, but it will not create or not add it to the module. And the fun part is I don't really need to create this even. I could just run this with a dry run flag, which means that this will show you what would have happened, but it will not actually execute that. So there is no folder created here. Now I could actually, make it run and then also delete it. But as you can see, if I run the dry run, no changes are made to the disk. So no changes are on my hard disk. So in this case, it would have created all the files, but it would not have added to the module. And if I remove the skip import, you would see that if I run this, then it would have updated the app module. So the skip import is important when you're working with standalone components, so you don't end up adding them to the module. All right, now that we have this standalone component, let's see how we would style it. So I'm going to take inspiration from my Flashback application, and I'm also going to run the app here. So give me 1 second to understand what I really need to do here. So the app that we have here is called memory game. So if we run nx-serve, it should run the memory game app. And then the page that I'm looking for to copy paste is this one. I believe I created a component that I called round splash screen component. I think this is the one that we have. It should have an ng content. Yeah, exactly here. So I think this is the one. I believe this is the one. Round splash screen component. Then we have a round scoreboard, blah, blah, blah. Let me see if I can copy this. So if I go back here, I could say components. Ooh, I wanted to create a folder called components. So we say components, and then I move it inside. So we have a round splash screen component just like this. I know it has a couple of things here and there, but I would show you what I mean when I run this. Do you want a different port? Yes, please. All right. So I would make this component as well stand alone. So I'm going to go ahead and put a standalone true here. And now in the Flashback application, once this runs, I'm going to show you what I mean. So this component has some cool things. For example, if I keep refreshing, or maybe it's not this one, but rather the other one. Let's actually create a game. So if I create a new game, open it, you will notice that this is yellow behind. But if I refresh now, sometimes it would be pink. Now that's cool, right? So this basically takes a 50% chance of showing a yellow one and then on a pink one. So it really depends on that 50% chance. But essentially you would notice that we have this card, and then we have like these images as as you say. And then this card essentially should show those images like here and there. Now, one thing that I really want to see is that for the home page, we have like these images out of the box, and this is on the welcome page. So I might actually copy the welcome page rather than the previous one, because this is not, I mean, this doesn't have too many images, but this one has. So I'm going to copy this one. So actually, I'm going to go to flashback, go to welcome and components, and then we have the game model here. I think the game model is this one. We don't really need that. But the welcome component itself, this is an interesting one. So we use this here, and I think this is absolutely what we need. So I'm going to copy this. Are we using any sort of inner page here? I don't think so. So I'm going to go ahead and paste this into the saying component, right? Now we do have some extra things here like the username and the let's go button. We don't really want those. So I'm going to comment this. And I can now use the saying component anywhere. So I could go ahead and say something like, hey, I want to use this when the page routes to saying. So I'm going to define two routes. The first route is going to be a redirection route. So if the path is empty, which means someone is gone to localhost 4200, we want to redirect them to something called saying, and that's it, right? So we are going to say redirect to saying, and then we also want to make sure that the path match is full, so it completely matches the empty state. And then we add a new route, which should be something like path saying, and then we would go ahead and say load component. And this load component is essentially what we really want. So the load component is supposed to be loading a component with something like this. So we could say import, we give the path to pages, saying, and then we say saying component. And then once we load the component using the then method, we can say component equals, or actually this is the module. So we can say m dot saying component, right? Or we could also say something like imp, which means import. So import dot saying component. Now that we have this, you will notice that it automatically goes to the saying page. Now, if I try to go to localhost 4200 and hit enter, you will still see that it was redirected to saying. And that is what I meant by rerouting. So when it goes to the home page, it gets redirected to saying. And when it goes to saying, it actually tries to load the component, which is the TypeScript file. So this tries to load this. Angular looks at the component metadata that, hey, it's a component. I know that. Where is its HTML? It looks at the template URL and renders the HTML. Then it also adds the SCSS file actually, and then also applies the style, which we don't have any. But if I would want to go, I could say something like background color red and display block. And if I do this, you see that we get background color here, but I would remove it because it looks ugly. Now, I also want to copy the styles from the welcome component if there are any. So I can see that there are some styles here. So we do have some mixins here, and we are adding some tiles here. So I would have to add two things. I would have to first copy this style, which I can put in saying component, but now it's using this mixin background tiles. And a mixin in SCSS is a function in SCSS. So essentially, if you have a mixin, you can pass several values into it, and then it does some magic behind the scenes. So you can reuse your functions. So if I go to styles mixins, you will see that the background tiles is a function, is a CSS function or an SCSS function, or what we call a mixin. And then mixin takes a border color, a BG color, and a tile size. And this essentially renders these tiles. So you would notice, I'm not sure if you notice, but there are like these little, can I find the cursor, or is it cursor, mouse, what do you call it? Mouse highlight. Yeah, now I have it. So if you notice here, like these are some boxes, some lines here. Do you see those? Can I get some yes in the chat? Because I see a lot of people watching the stream, but there's no interaction on the chat. So do you see these lines? And these lines are essentially the number of tiles that we are creating. So by default, in this function, in the SCSS function, we get these tile size, which is 30 pixel. And then you will see, you will basically create those lines using a linear gradient. And then we add the background size. So it essentially creates those files. Cool, awesome. So I'm going to copy this mixin SCSS. I'm going to create a styles folder and a mixin CSS just like this in our project. So I'm going to go to my project, which is JHSS. I'm going to close all these files. Actually, not the saying one, but I'm going to save this. I'm going to close all these files. We will get an error because it would say, hey, this mixin background tiles does not exist. We know because we are coding it. So I'm going to create a new folder inside app. And I'm going to name this folder styles. And then I'm going to create a new file called underscore mixins.scss. And I'm going to paste the mixin here. Now what I want to do is I want to import this mixins files into saying. So from saying.scss, it's a route. So we need to do something like import, and then we would say dot dot slash dot dot slash dot dot, or not dot dot, but styles mixin SCSS. So we're going to say slash mixins. Now if I save this, you will see that this is green, everything works. And now if I go back to my application on the browser, you will see this is how it looks. So we now get those tiles. Super cool, right? So it's almost, it looks like almost we are there. Now what I also love about Angular application or my apps is I love this font that I use. It's called Nunito. So it's a very fun rounded font that I love. So I'm going to also use this. So I'm going to go to Flashback. I'm going to go to the index.html inside our app. So this is the index.html, and here you will notice that we are using, oh, it's not Nunito actually. Interesting. I used to use dongle, so it's not Nunito, it's dongle. So I'm going to be copying these 3 lines that pre-connect the fonts, and I'm going to use those. Actually, I'm also going to use the font icons, which is which are these font awesome. Let me see if I also would want to use any other thing. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So from here to dongle. So I'm going to paste this into my other project in the index.html file, just below this. And now let's also use the browser so we can see the difference. So this is how it looks. Notice the font, how crispy it is, like at the corners. And if I go back and save now, I would also have to add a couple of things. So you notice that we got these icons here, which is good. But we also would have to set the font family of our styles. So in the styles.scss in the old project, we do have all of this. You can see that we have these colors, then we also have this HTML body and blah, blah, blah. So we would want to copy all of this. Oops, not remove that. So I'm going to go to my style CSS and paste it here, but I will remove this import stylesgame.scss. So same thing as before, we got the base components, utilities from Tailwind. Then we have this root purple color. Then we have the HTML body, and then we have this dongle set here. So now if I go to my app again, you will notice that after saving this, you now see that, yay, we got the entire color being awesome, or the entire page is here. We have almost everything done, right? So we got the HTML, we got the other things. Now the only thing that's remaining is these files. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Flashback app, and I'm going to go to assets and the images. So I'm going to copy this from here and go to assets here and paste it here, which means now if I go back to my app and refresh, boom, there we go. We are the champion of copy paste, as someone said. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So let's get back to the second stuff. So now that we have this HTML working perfectly fine, all we need to do is to actually add some sayings or quotes, and then we start showing those randomly. So for this, we are going to start working on the Firebase part because we are going to add all of those sayings from there. So what I want to do is I'm going to go to console.firebase, and then I can add a new project. I hope I have more projects that I can create. I hope. We got friendly chat, flashback, Schwitzer, focus door, and CodeWithAhsan. I think there's a limit of 5, but let's see. So I'm gonna call this JH says, and then I can confirm, continue. Google Analytics, yeah, I would want to see how many people use this, or even though if it's just for a friend. Let's see. So now what I also want to do is to go to Angular Fire, which is the official Angular library for Firebase. This is very actively maintained, or I at least hope that it is actively maintained. When was the last, or is this deprecated? No, this should be 7 months, 6 years, 3 months, or is it Angular Fire 2? Yeah, we have an Angular Fire 2. 5 years, 5 years. What? The official library for Firebase. Am I tripping? Or am I tripping? So let's see. When was the last release? It was like on June 7th. Allow Firebase tools as... So maybe I think this is up to date and this should be good. All right, then I'm going to trust this. So I can say ng add Angular Fire, and this should be good. And I believe the package.json should show... Where is the package.json? It uses Angular v12. I'm just concerned if they had the need to update this or not at all. So Angular, then there should be packages, then there should be do you use this version? Okay, because I expected that there would be some changes or some breaking changes for the Firebase version, but they are not. So all right, let's add that then. So ng add Angular Fire. So we're gonna go to our project gh says, open a new window, and run ng add Angular Fire. This should essentially add Angular Fire to our project, and this will obviously ask for, you know, what which project do we want to work with. So let's do Y, and then in the meantime we are creating this project. So we continue this. We have the JH says project here, and the only thing that we would want to use in this project, I believe, is the Firestore database, because we are not running anything real time. So we just need a database to use, and yeah, that's pretty easy to work with Firebase. So I'm going to create a database, start in production mode. I'm going to start in test mode, so that's okay. Yeah, we're going to keep it Europe because the friend is in the Europe. For Angular, I think the need to update is still, but for now I use it for a project of mine. Oh, that makes sense. It makes sense. Total sense. So now that we have this, what do we want to do? We want the hosting, of course, for this application. So I'm going to use ng-deploy for this. We want to use Firestore for this. You know, I absolutely love the experience that you get out of the box from Angular Fire, because you can select all of these things and you don't have to worry about it. We don't want cloud messaging, performance, blah, 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 remote config. No, we don't need. I'm not sure if we want authentication, to be honest. I don't think so. But what I will do is I do want to give someone the access to I do want to give someone the access to be able to upload some sayings to this application, or some codes to this application. But yeah, let's see. So I'm going to say Firestore, and hey, remind me to sit down because I've been standing for how long? About an hour. It's like 50 minutes into the stream already. So do remind me to sit down in like 4 minutes, maybe. Auth is necessary to protect your DB access. Are you sure about that? And they don't have any other way to access it. Or actually, I mean, my database is only accessible from the API key that I have that is public per se. But yes, I believe you're right. So auth would be necessary in that case. And should I do it again? Let's see. Would it break now since I canceled it? So let's go with ng-deploy, authentication, and Firestore. Did I select anything else? No, I don't think so. Login with account. Now you can see that as soon as I log in with my account, I can see all the projects that I have, including JHSS. Yay! So I can add it. And then for this, we can create a new site. And I'm also going to have custom domains, but I'm not really sure if Firebase would support it. For now, I'm using the hosting, but maybe we would. Preparing the list of your Firebase web apps. Oh, we are going to create a new app. We are going to say gh says web, creating your web app. And what I was saying is that we may move it to Netlify because it supports custom domains, but I'm going to look into Firebase if it also does it. I believe it does. So now that we have this, let's talk about integrating the database, or the Firebase Firestore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a list of quotations that I want to add. So give me, it supports custom domain. Awesome. Then we're good, because I do have one on GoDaddy. So once we have this, we can go ahead and say Firestore. So we can start with this. So how do we create a new application, you ask? We basically create a new application, or let me think. We do initialize app, and then we pass in the configuration from our Firebase application. And we can find that here in this, in the settings, in the app itself. We have the database here, which is super cool. But Bill, hey, bye. Take care, Bill. You said that you will come back later to see how it works. Awesome. For sure. So I got to do two things. One, I need to provide Firebase app, and then also I need to do the provide Firestore in the imports. So now the fun parts comes in. So our application is using the components itself, and it has one page. And then I don't think even we need this round splash component, because yeah, everything is inside the saying, so we don't really need that. Now this is a standalone component. So instead of actually providing this in the app module, I could actually add all of this into the standalone component itself, because then I can just move it anywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and go to saying.component and add this line here. Sit down. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. All right. You're going to see me floating. You're going to see me rising in that case. Let's go. Let's move a bit further down. And there we go. They see me floating. They're going to be hitting. Yes, absolutely. Exactly. So that actually reminded me of something. Can I show you that? Have you seen the little parrot, the gray parrot, and the same thing? Maybe I can find it. Let's see. So coffee would be great. I actually decided, or my wife and I decided, that I'm not gonna be having any tea or coffee at night. So we're trying to avoid it. But in the morning, I would have one, a really good one. Bag of seeds, parrot. They see. This is the one, I think. I hope this doesn't have a sound. Yeah, this is the one. What the heck is this? Can I go and full screen this somehow, please? This is, yeah, that one.
Nah, it's cool. Nah. But you can use this flotation device. Floating. What they say, they floating. They gonna be hating.
I love this one. Yeah, I love this one.
So you want me to enter this? Nah, it's cool. Nah. But you can use this flotation device. Floating. What they say, they floating. They gonna be hating. Put both feet. If you put both feet, we'll give you a big bag of seeds. See, damn it, man. See, premium from Costco. No, I have to contemplate. I have to consider.
I have to consider.
I'm aquaphobic, man. Costco. Why do I have to be aquaphobic? Flotation device for the seeds. Just good. So you're saying I can trust you with this thing here? The decision is for you to make for the seeds. Is the flotation device trustable? Yeah, I'm aquaphobic. Yes. Okay, let me give it. Okay, big bag of seeds for me. Big bags of seeds indeed, but is it worth it? Aquaphobia, I can't swim.
I have to consider. Most people have not seen this part, okay? This is a new one. I didn't see this one.
You can trust me. Who do you trust then?
Damn. He actually, I don't know if it's he or what, but the parrot actually went to the flotation device. This is cool. I didn't see this one before. All right.
Who do you trust then? Me, man. I trust me. What? Hey, wait. I lifted it. Yeah, you lifted it. But why? There's no specific reason. Can I just float? Excuse me. May I just float? So politely, of course you can float. Why are you hitting on my whoa, full of care? I was going to say buoyancy, but my balance was off. Well, I was going to say buoyancy, man. Damn! What's the damn for? I should have worn my balance here, guys. But I'm wearing my Air Force Ones. You're still balancing well. I'm not sure what to even do. You can go and get your Balenciagas from the cage. Ona, did I ask you? Who asked you? May I just float too? You keep on lifting the device. Apologies. Why are you lifting? Don't please just de-escalate the device. Let me float like a water spider. I'm not hating on your floating. Ona, I know you have my back, but I have haters to my right, haters to my left.
Damn. Consider. Yeah, exactly. That was fun. I didn't see the second part. This is amazing. This is super cool. All right. What a ride. Back to the code. So now we have to add both the Firestore provider and that here. So let's go and do that. Good with the project, bro. Thank you. Omai Wamu Shindiro, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this, paste it here like a pro. So imports, and then we got these. Now I would have to provide this empty. So what does it say? Imports contain a module provider's value, likely result of module for root style call. These calls are not used into configure. Ah, interesting. Oh, okay, so we cannot import them here because they're using for root inside. Okay, that makes sense. So I'm gonna have to go to app module and do that. Oh, they already did that. So provide auth, provide Firebase auth. Ooh, I love it. So we don't really need to do it at all. I'm gonna remove this guy. And then here, I think in the app component, actually, let me see if, interesting. Let's actually see if I can find those. So filter, and give me 1 second. So I should have, I'm trying to see where my initialize environment.firebase. Okay, that's good. All right, so I double check now. And my app is initialized with the correct Firebase values. And here it's using environment.firebase. So it actually contains all of the things. And the file itself contains everything in the environment. So I don't have to add that. So it adds initialize app, environment Firebase, and everything. So all I needed to do in this case was just to run ng add angularfire, and my application is completely set up. So now what I need to do is just to add some data and then to return some data. That's pretty much it. So I'm going to quickly go ahead and import these. Let me see the documentation for Firestore, for modular, and we got a source, we got app, we got Firestore, and inside here we got this example. So in here we have the Firestore talk data Firestore, and then we reference a dog, and that's pretty much it. Okay, and we are importing this from Angular Firestore. Cool. Hello, Mr. Streamer. Hello, Simplarian. How are you doing today? So I'm gonna go ahead and create actually some imports in the saying.component.ts, and then I'm actually gonna get Firestore. So I'm gonna quickly go here and I'm gonna say something like const ref equals to, or actually is this ref use collection, you want to use a list of objects. Yes, exactly. So what I would want to do, I want to first create something in the Firestore so we can then add it. So we're gonna do a collection, right? So we do something like collection. I think there's also a ref that I could import, or is it not? Let's see. So the collection requires the get Firestore, which returns the Firestore, and then we have a path. So the path would be something like, we could say sayings, right? Something like this. And the collection returns a document, a collection reference. So this is a collection reference, collection ref, and I'm doing it like some of this just by memory, but then we are going to also look into the documentation itself. Now that I have the collection ref itself, I could do I think there's called snapshot, which should be a collection snapshots. Collection to do. Can I see the declaration of this one? So if I do collection snapshots, what does this require? It requires a query. No, I have to actually, you have to directly some service. Let me actually check the documentation. So in this case, what we are doing is we are using the Firestore service. Then we are using Firestore, and then we are doing ref.pipe. So in this case, I would just do. So we have the ID, the path, the Firestore. That's good. And then the collection ref itself. Okay. So we should have something called docs. And this requires a ref. So we say doc snapshots collection ref dot subscribe val console.log. Well, so what does this say now? Argument collection reference is not a similar document reference. Okay, so we should have a collection ref, collection changes, or collection data, or collection reference. So we should have collection changes rather that we could then subscribe to, and then we can say something like, well, so in that case, if I go back to my app here, inspect this here, you would see that it says Angular 5 module has not been provided in your app module. This can be done implicitly, blah, blah, blah. And this is saying component on in it. Now this is interesting because now I would have to pass the provider as well. And that would mean that I would have to say Angular 5 module into the imports. So Angular 5 module, and this should be from Angular 5 Firestore. Angular wait a second. Or you're calling because this is a standalone, that's why it doesn't work. But if I do this, then it would have to be check the doc. It's really much easier. Yeah, I know, but the problem is if I have to use a standalone components, then I would have to use it. Otherwise, I would have to remove standalone, and then I would have to make it part of the other component that I didn't want. I wanted to use standalone component rather. Let me see if I can see fire with standalone component. I don't think there's going to be an example for using Firebase, but let's see. And also, let me also try to see this. So Angular Fire, let's open this into dev. I do want to see where Angular Fire module comes in, because there should be a simple way to just import Angular Fire module, but our TypeScript or our VS Code doesn't right now know. So this should be Angular Fire module. All right. So it's database deprecated. Angular 5. Okay. This is version 5.0. The only concern that I have actually, in this case, you should create a service and then use it in your component. Would that service be would the service not be part of the component? Oh no, not be part of the module then, because I would have to declare that service in the module, and that would be in the app module. But still, in order for that service to work with Angular Fire, it would still have to import Firebase module. I think even if I create a service and inject it in the component, since it is still a standalone component, it would still don't know that the service is using Angular Fire, because the component itself doesn't have any idea of Angular Fire. So I think it would still be a problem, to be honest. So I'm not really sure, to be honest. But hey, let me check. I mean, what's the fun in doing things the easier way? We do have compat, we have Firestore, we have public API, we have Firestore module. Let's go there and see what is it about. So it's called Angular Firestore module, and that comes with Angular Fire compat. So import from Angular Fire compat, and that should be something like Angular Fire module. There we go. But why use standalone component in that case? Because I just want to try it and see how it works. I've not worked with it yet, so I do want to try and see how it works. And my camera is dead now. Let me fix it. So now it says Angular 5 module has not been provided in your app module. Okay, let's try to see if I want to remove standalone and then remove this guy as well. Okay, let's do it the standard way in that case. And then I declare the same component here as well. And now I think standalone. The component must be standalone. Why does it have to be standalone? Oh, because I'm using it in the router, because yeah, okay. Let's also then change this. That's the issue that I didn't want to do. So if I want to go with same component here, then yeah, it would be, yeah, again, you can see that this is still giving me the same error. Now I don't have the standalone. I remember having this issue earlier as well when I was working with Firebase. I don't know what I ended up doing, but let's actually see. So app module, remove same component from here, making this a standalone component again, and remove this, because the error is still the same for both of those cases. So let's see, what did I do in the flashback, because that uses Firebase. So in the app module here, I believe I started using like this, Angular Fire module.initialize app Angular Firebase. So this is what I started doing, and this was from Fire compat. And this worked. Yeah, I mean, this worked before. Okay. So if I have to do this, actually, then I don't even have to do it here. So I don't need the Firebase app and the Firestore module in this case, in the app. So I could probably go to the same component and then just use this. So in the imports, I could then do Angular Fire module, which I can import from the compat, import from Angular Fire compat, and that should be Angular Fire module dot initialize app. Does it also do okay, can't do that because of the for root issue. So we go here and then we add this guy there, but we also do this, and then I need to import this guy to here, and then remove this from here. So now I can save this, and hopefully we should not have the error. Oh, because I also need to import the Angular Fire module in there as well, in the component as well. Even if it's standalone, I would have to import this here. So use that here. Same problem, so I always use compat. Yeah, I can't remember when I got it working without errors, to be honest. Angular 5 module has not been provided in your app module. What? I do have it here. I do have the Angular 5 module.initialize app there as well. I don't understand why would it not work. So it starts from ng on init and goes there. And then we have, so maybe you're right, maybe it's not ready for the standalone component yet. But it should be working. I don't know why it doesn't work. So, well, actually, let me think. Because we are using Fire and Fire compat. So if I go to compat, then we have different API there, right? So we can't use Firestore and Fire compat at the same time. So if I use Firestore, then we do have something like provide Firestore in that case. So provide Firestore, something like that. And then we have the injector as well, like get Firestore. And that is something like this. Get Firestore. And that says what? And are not supported and are not valid. Is that going to actually cause an error, or is that something that is no? It's going to cause an error. Okay, let's go back to the basics. So we do have this working. So let's save this. We're going to be removing this and this and this and this. We're going to not be using standalone component in that case because I don't have whole night. So I'm going to say sing component, save this, remove the standalone. We already did that. Go to routing, change it to component or saying component. Save this guy. And now let's see. So Angular Fire module is not there. Yes, I know. So I'm going to be using Angular Fire auth module and all of this interesting stuff. So we're going to go ahead into our app module. I'm going to remove all of this interesting stuff here. Provide auth, get auth, Angular Fire auth. And now we got to add this. Angular Fire module, auth module, Firestore module. So we do this. And we remove analytics and we save it. And now it says in the saying component, maybe it's not ready. Let's see, saying component. We don't have standalone anymore, right? So this one is going to change then. Compat. So what do we have there? That means, so we should have, no. Wait a second. So in the compat, what do we have? So we have a Firestore, or actually compat Firestore, then we got collection changes. So we got collections, no, Firestore, and then there should be collection changes. Just curious what theme is it? This is Winter is Coming by John Papa. Winter is Coming, dark blue. So you can search that. Jarvis says, good night, man. Have a great coding session. I'll set in action tomorrow if you leave the live upload in your channel. Of course I will. No worries. So in this case, we should then have Angular Firestore as a service that we could then add. Then we should also have collection from collection ref. So if I then want to have it, I would have to do private Firestore, Angular Firestore, and then I would have to do this. So this dot Firestore dot collection, and then I would have to give this path, which is sayings, and then it also requires query function, but we don't want to give query function. And then we can do value changes, and then the rest of the stuff would be the same. So we do value changes dot subscribe and then console log, right? So we got this. Now if I look at the console, we don't have any errors and we get the value out of it. Yay! So I'm going to look into the example of the modular one. I often forget how it works. So now that we got the empty array, let's add some to it. So what we are going to do is we are going to just add simple strings that we could add. So I'm going to add this here, and I can say const, or we could say something like sayings ref Angular file collection. Is it collection ref? This class creates a reference to a file collection. Or should it be ref collection ref collection reference? This is the one that I'm looking for. So this is going to be something that is going to be assigned in here, or actually I could do it in the constructor, so I don't have to use this. So I could do this dot sayings ref equals this dot firestore dot collection sayings. So we got the sayings ref. Is it not the same one? Angular Firestore collection known as meeting the following properties from type, collection reference, document data. So then it's the collection rather, and I can import it. All right, then we can simply do this dot sayings ref dot value changes, and then we subscribe to it. Another thing that we could do in the beginning is this dot sayings ref dot add, and here we can add a simple document. So we could do something like quote this is epic. So when we do this, you're gonna see that we now get the array that says this is epic, which means that if I go to my collection now and refresh it, I can't pronounce the name, but GS is good. Yes, it is. It's awesome. So now it says this is epic, and now I can actually add more sayings to this. So let me quickly copy paste the sayings so we can start using them. So I'm going to be right back in 1 minute, and I'm also going to bring a glass of water. So be right back. All right, I'm back. Give me 1 second to pull up my email so I can copy the sayings. So let's see. Mail.google.com. There we go. I've copied the sayings from my friend. So I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna actually go and create a JavaScript out of it, or actually let's do this in the browser. So I'm gonna, because I have a list of strings I want to convert into an array. So I do have this string, something like this, right? I would want to convert this into an array, so, or an array. So how do we do that? We convert this into a string first, then we split it by new lines, or I could actually remove, I could do split by new line. So now you can see that I've got all the new lines as well, right? So I can split this by new line. Let's split equals this. So we have split in here. Then we can say split equals split dot filter. So we can filter them and remove these empty strings like this. So we can filter line not equals to empty string. And now we only have 15 items. Previously we had 29 items. So now the split contains all of those. Now what I can do is I can actually remove this backslash from here. So I can do split equals split dot, let me clear this. So split equals split dot map, and we have line, and we want to replace the line with, which has a backslash this with an empty string. So if I do this, then our splits right now looks like this. So we have like these quotation marks. So I could remove the quotation marks actually by using a regex. And then we remove it by G. So we do this. Oops. So now you can see that we have removed this quotation mark here. So just classic JavaScript. So we have removed all the quotation marks from within this string, and now we have an array of all the sayings that we have. And now what I want to do is to just create an array or array. And what I want to do is I want to first clear out my database. So in here, I would refresh and make sure that my database is empty. So I'm going to remove this delete collection sayings, not settings. And now what I want to do is to create an array just for the time being. Sayings equals, so we got this. I do want to add some like some emojis to this. So hello my little fairies, could have a wave in there. I love a small talk. Is there a ticket of small? It is the best part of the meeting. I will not have meetings after 3 on Fridays. That's after work time. Maybe put a party here. Then private net insect JS. It's actually TypeScript, but yes. But it's essentially compiled JS. Strategy plan from 0 to hero. 0. What's that? Why does it? Oops. From 0 to hero. Can I put, or actually too much emojis. Can I put Voldemort here? American Pie. I need to go and buy a crystal now. Crystal. They just wanted to meet some Swedish girl. Sweden. Or if I say SE, do I get the flag? Or is it FL? No, I don't get the Swedish flag. On Friday is a summer party, so I will not be working. Then you're still in a rave? What's a rave? Are you coming over to the dark side? Why is it so with stick up your blah? You're now a party for that money instead. Money, let's make it money, and we add it here. It is impossible to get fired in Sweden. Never ask an old lady about her name. Okay. All right. So we got the sayings now. So what we could do is we could probably say something like this dot saying refs dot. Can we add a batch? No. Audit trail value changes add. Does it require, does it return a promise? Yeah, it does. So we could probably reduce it. So sayings dot reduce act new or next. So what we do is we start with a promise dot resolve, and then we do return promise, or we could say pref promise pref promise dot then, and we can say then this dot saying graph dot add next. So this is actually a promise that executes every time. So we have previous promise that is supposed to be a promise that is resolved. One type arguments, it should be what it should be. What does it do? It returns a document reference. So it returns a document reference. Come on. And we can import this guy. Right. Right. No, it's not. Or it actually returns back. Wait a second. I'll offer you 5,000 a month to come and code for my company. Seekos. Seekos, what could you also define the currency? So we got a promise. What does it say? So the void is not assignable to that. Why would we get a void? Oh, because wait a second. So when we return a promise, no, actually this should be good. So if I do promise or resolve, resolve, it should actually resolve it. Or actually we could say something like new promise, or we could do promise or resolve. Actually, you say resolve. Seekos, I actually switched my job, so probably a bit late, and I think 5,000 a month is very low for my salary. I believe right now I am at something around 7, actually more than that. What am I doing wrong in this case? It's actually late night and I'm starting to think about my career decisions. So let me think. So what we do is we start with the promise.resolve, creates a new resolve promise, that's fine, okay, and it has a promise void, that's also fine. Then we get the accumulator and the next, that's also fine, and we are going through saying, so that's also fine. Then we do previous promise dot then, which is good, it's also good. But then what we do is we return a new promise. Oh, I understand. So I cannot add this. Yes. So this should be code. And that should be good. Now let's see what's happening. Simplaren says, I'm interned with 8 months and I can come for 5k euro. Yes. Simplaren, that would be awesome. So promise void is not assignable to but I don't understand the point of this. So this could be this, right? And the document data, I believe this should come from the Firestore. Yeah, exactly. I think this should work. So now that we have all the type convert, and I only did this because I need to do it once. I mean, come on. I did all this effort to do it only once. Okay. In any ways, I'm gonna see that first that it does work. Okay. So I'm gonna save this. Go and see my database. And we should be able to see a couple of sayings. There we go. You see? All these are here now. So we have a couple of sayings now. And I also want to now remove this code. But I do want to put it into a README file. So I can maybe add it later on sometime. So I'm going to add this to README. And then we could add it and say, hey, this is a seed document. Why can't I edit it? Okay, now I can. So seed data. So we could say something like TypeScript, Angular hoodie. Yes, it is the best one. Should wear it like this. Can I fit myself in? Yes, I can. There we go. So we got the TypeScript one, and I think we should also check if, I mean, what is the length of the sayings per se, do you know? So I should check console.log this.sayingsref.length. Does it have a length? Do we get a snapshot? I don't think we didn't have the count. Yes. Do you have a React one? No, not yet. Probably soon. Alrighty, so now that we've got this, let's talk about how we can quickly, and you can see that we got the 15 one now. So all we need to do now is, you would achieve almost the same result with a map? No? What do you mean? I would do the same result with a map, but then I would be running, so what I actually did, I would achieve the same result. They would all be added, but I wanted to do it sequentially. So one after another. So when you do it this way, it does it sequentially. So you first add one, then you add the other, then you add the third, then the fourth, then the fifth. If you do it via map, you're gonna run different. You're gonna run like 20 or 25, however many these are, maybe not even 20, in parallel. So the outcome would still be the same. You would add them to the database. That's what you would do. But if you want to do it sequentially, you can just run it like this with a reduce. So now that we've got this, and also we would want to make sure that this, I mean, even if this is only the only component that we have here, we may want to just use it and remove the subscription. So we could say on destroy, and we can add it from the on init, and then we can say something like on destroy, and then we can say this dot, we could say something like component alive false, we make it true here, and then we can say component alive equals false on destroy, and we can pipe it here. So we can do something like pipe take while the component is alive. So you only run it when the component is alive, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. Or actually we could, now that I think about it, I could actually just run this against async pipe. What we would want though is a random number that we could pick and then assign it. So we could say something like, I'm thinking how should we go about it? Because I do want to do a couple of things. One, I do want to make a deep link to the random fact or the random saying. And second, I also want to be able to navigate through that, right? So do we do a deep link right away? Or I'm thinking, or we keep it simple and we load everything and just cycle through that. Let's do that. Let's do some cycling. So we get all of these sayings, however many, then we just pick a random number and then we just show that on the UI, and then we would have the next and the previous in that case. So let's see if we can do it via async in this case. So if I do an async variable, then I would also have to give this an index or the active index, and then I would have to just cycle through those. So if I wanted to have a variable, why do you choose take while over take until to subscribe? I think it's the same thing. Take until is when you say, hey, now this happened, so please remove it. Take while is the reverse of it. So I'm running this or keeping this alive while this component is alive. And you are saying, or the approach that you are mentioning is, hey, keep this subscription until this happens. So the component is destroyed. So you could do that. That's fine. And this makes me sweaty. So I'm going to adjust this a bit. And let's see. So I'm going to create a sayings ref, or we could say something like sayings dollar, and this is going to be an observable, and we can also have some sort of interface as well. So we can keep this really simple, not to overcomplicate. So interface saying interface saying, and here it would be a code and code of string, and then we got the saying here. So when we do Angofy collection, we can probably give this a type. So the collection of sayings. Similarly, this would be an observable of sayings in this case. And this should be rather type and not that. And I mean, we could, no, I would rather keep it like this. So the sayings in this case would be, in this case, we could remove it, or we could actually do this. Actually comment out all of this. So we rather do this. And you also mentioned, why do you choose take while over take until to unsubscribe? Did I also answer that? No, I already answered that. Cool. So then we got this one. So I'm going to remove everything, but we are going to say something like this dot sayings equals this dot saying ref dot value changes. So in that case, let's try out with a random value. So we're gonna go and see the HTML, which is says let's play back. So in here, we should have a saying with async, and we could remove this, right? And then if we do this, then we could say like 2. Would that work? No. Object is possibly null. Of course it is. So we could run this actually like this. GF as saying, and then we could run sayings 2, and it says object object because we also need to say quote. You're still iterative? Yes, we are. All right. So now I think we can rename it to sayings, and I actually have that as sayings as well. So we're good, and this should be called then sayings, right? And then we can randomize it. So we could say something like saying index equals 0, and we could also randomize it when the component initiates it here. So we could say something like, but then we would have to know when, I think we would have to know when the value changes. So we would have to randomize the container, or we would have to take the value. Let me think. So let's see if I can find this. So can I get the count from Firestore? So if I go to Angular Fire documentation, and there should be collection. So we got to collections. Do we have a way of finding the count? Sunny Roy, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. I don't really see the cloud actually, or not cloud, but the count. We'll see. I understand that final result is the same. It's just first time when I see someone use take while in the situation combined with ng on this try. Awesome. We learned everything new, Adam. If you, I don't know if you've heard about it, but there's a book called the Angular Cookbook, and I am actually the author of it. And if you see the examples in Angular Cookbook, you're gonna see like take while all along everywhere. All right, so this takes like this items and then ID field. So this is just the items collection, and then the value changes. I'm actually doing the same thing, but what I want to do, to be honest, is I do want to know the count of the items. So Firebase collection items count. How to count documents in the Firestore collection. It's 12 a.m. and you still have energy. Impressive. Thank you. I have actually a lot of things to do in the office, so I'm trying to get it done as soon as possible. But yes, thank you. Keeney FN, or Keeney in short. Octavio says you got this. Thank you. So Let's see. So what we got here is we got the collection, and then we can do snapshot, which is get count from server. Ah, interesting. But then I don't think this is available in the limitations. Uh-huh. Oh, so this is interesting. Okay. So that means that we would have to mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I don't really want to do. Maybe I could do it for once, because in one session the count would not really change per se. All right, let's see. So if I do this dot firestore dot collection, or actually we do have a saying graph, then we can do this saying graph dot then get. And what does this get return? So this get essentially returns the observable. Okay, so you could do pipe, then you could do tab, and then you could do oops, and then, or I could do also use first, but because would it run? Let's see, console.log. Yay. Alrighty, let's go to our app. Where's my app? There's my app. No, it doesn't run, of course, because we would have to subscribe to something. So if I rather do it like first and then do subscribe, then we would get all the items then. But then the point is, if I have to only do this once, why do I need to do the value changes at all? Then I could just rather do this. So I could say sayings, observable saying, and that's pretty much it. It would only be if I use non-null operator for observable variable, but HTML still showed error. It can be null when you use async pipe. Now that I've changed everything, I'm not sure if it's going to work, but let's see what you're talking about. So the non-null operator, so what I'm doing here is I'm actually running the ngIf up top. So I'm marking this as saying, so if it doesn't find it, or if it's null, then it doesn't, yeah, I mean, if remove ngIf, then it's not going to work. If that makes sense. So I do want to put the async variable, but also then an index, but I could put the non-null assertion operator as well. So either way, I think it's probably going to be the same, if I'm not wrong. Or do you think it's a better approach in that case? And I could then use this, because if there is someone updating it, then I think it makes sense. But I don't really have to do like live changes, so I don't really want that. So I could just say get this, and then just use for first pipe, and then we could say sayings, and then we could say this dot sayings, or sayings equals sayings, this dot saying index equals this dot math dot floor dot random, and we could do something like this dot sayings dot length. So we get a random index every time, and it says saying is missing. So the saying is supposed to get us back with a saying, and this is supposed to be a collection of this, I believe. Wait a second, the sayings is going to return back collection. You do a first, you subscribe. The sayings should be a query snapshot of saying, and this should be dot snapshot. No, dot docs dot to no. What a second. So it's docs dot, and this saying is what exactly? So document snapshot saying is not attachable to that. I think it's like that. Never mind, it's too late. Let's move on. Yeah, refactor to it sings async too. I did that actually, but no, it wouldn't work. I did that. I did that. I did that. Even if I do this, it wouldn't work because this part itself can be null. So it wouldn't get any index of 2. So without ngf, it wouldn't work. I tried that already. I put that already and I knew that it's not going to work. So the docs itself, we get the query snapshot with saying to, or one second. So we already have the size. So we get the size. We could get it like this. Is that a function? No. It gets the property. And then the docs itself is the query snapshot that we get, an array of all the documents in the query snapshot. But then it's going to be a query document snapshot of saying rather than saying. And then this is going to be from import. Oh, okay. And now when you do this, this says the query snapshot saying array. Wait a second. The query snapshot staying array is missing the what did I do actually? So I changed this and it's missing. So it says saying in this case. So this should rather be this, the query document snapshot. And it says that it's missing the following properties from the type query document snapshot, data exists, ref, ID, and 3 more. What type is docs.entries? Do we have entries? That's a good question. It's an array of the query documents saying it, which is an iterable, which makes sense. Let me actually check the documentation before we get too lost. So once we get access to the collections, we do have streaming collection data. We've got a value changes, document action change, value changes. So we have like snapshot changes dot pipe. Then you get a payload doc.data. And you have like as blah blah blah. No, I don't want to do that. All right, let's take a breath. So we have a sayings ref that has an Angular Firestore collection of type saying. Then we got a document snapshot of sayings, which means it should have an array of document snapshot, I believe. And the entries that we have is we have an array there we go. So essentially we should have all the docs here. And now if I go ahead and put the sayings in that case to the HTML, then now I can remove the saying. Oops. This dot or saying index. And then we have dot code. Now this says code dot, yeah, I know, because what we are assigning it here is absurd. So we do have to map doc and then doc dot data. Is that correct? I think it is. And then the sayings becomes rather saying. So we can now change this back to saying. Yeah, there we go. Finally, my brain is working. So in this case, what did we break? Wait a second. The HTML is not saved. Sorry. Now we got a lot of bunch of errors, but it says cannot read properties of undefined reading 0. Then it says cannot read property defined of 0. So that's what we are talking about. So now the only problem here is we could rather set this to 0, but then we would see an empty string, and then you would see that it's yeah, then we load it. So instead of this, I would suggest that we probably could have an ngIf that looks a bit better. For example, I'm going to remove this, and here I could say something like ngIf uh this. So we could say saying index as current saying. So we could say if we have current saying as code, or we could say active saying. I don't know what to name this. Naming is so hard always. So active saying dot code. So we got that, but if it's not there, then we can use an ng template, and we can call this loading. So we could say loading, and here we could go ahead and add this. So where is it? So in here we say ngIf. If it works, really good. If it doesn't, then we say loading. So it says loading, and there you go. Refresh, works for me. And I think now what I would just do is I would just change the index every time we need to refresh. So we could say something like, let's see. So in the same component HTML, we do have these icons. Then we got a justify and then we also got some other icons as well. But I'm gonna add this guy here. Let's see if he shows up. Yeah, he does. And we could say something like refresh. It doesn't show up. Reload. It doesn't show up. So we're gonna go to font awesome, and find an icon. What time are you going to bed today? Lol. Hopefully in 15 minutes. Hopefully. So we go refresh. So we got arrows rotate. FA arrows rotate. Arrows rotate. Save this guy. And we don't see it. Yay! Why don't we see it? FAS. So we are looking into solid, right? So classic sharp free. We got a rotate one. There we go. Still don't see it. Why don't we see it? So we got rotate, arrow rotate right. Can I see solid actually? Or so this is style solid. Rotate right. Arrows rotate. There you go. Still nothing, huh? Interesting. FA. What about FA spin? Or FA spinner? Or it starts spinning. Hey, ever tried mat icons? I did. I did, but I didn't use it in this app. I'm using already font awesome icons. Let me see if what version I'm using. Maybe it's a really old one. Index.html font awesome. We're using like 5.14. Which version is there now? So start for free. With APIs. No, I'm gonna use okay, no. Let's see. And the version I could see, it was 6.2, so 5.14. And then we go to icons. But would we still see 5.14 or no? So the categories that we should have solid. Nope. So we should have the icons as solid, and we should have a rotate. Yeah, this is the one. So it should be FA rotate. So then then the problem with the icons in that case is we're probably using FAS and FA rotate, right? Nope. I'm gonna have to search if I'm doing something specific with that. I don't think so. So then maybe we could add the font awesome's latest CDN rather. Classic sharp, solid, regular, blah blah blah. HTML React View, and then CDN. Set up a kit. Some CDN, and let's see if we got the latest one. So it should be all min, copy link tag, index.html, and let's see if I can see my icons. There we go. So one thing that I do want to do is we were looking at the solid icons before, solid classic. So there was a rotate right, but then arrow or rotate. Yeah, I think that's the one only. Okay. So let's say that we don't have that we could click it and it could set the random number. So we could say something like set random saying. So we could simply say this dot saying index equals and whatever this logic is. So we do this and we could have this dot sayings dot length, and then we call this dot set random saying. So this does it the first time. Strategy plan from 0 to hero. There you go. Then now I need to basically make it clickable. So in here I would go ahead to this one and make it sort of like a button. So we can say hover, or actually cursor, pointer, and then also we could say hover, opacity 20. So it looks something like this, as you can see. So it changes the opacity. We could also have transition or transition all duration 200 milliseconds. So it's like a bit smooth, as you can see. So it's not like really harsh now. And finally, what I would want to do is to be able to click this. So I can do something like click set random saying, and that means now I can go and click this There you go. So you set a random one. Or you could go ahead and, see the rest of them. One thing that I would want to do is also to have, I don't know if I want these to be selectable, to be honest, but okay. One thing that I also want is to have some quotations around it. So quotation, and then this, like this. There you go. All right, looks cool. Do you think there's something that we are missing, or is it good? I think this is good. We just need to have some we just need to have some pictures around this, but I think apart from that it looks damn good. So I'm gonna also look into this. Right, and then also you could probably have, I don't know if I want to give this like a next and a previous one, but I think that would be worth it if someone just wants to go and see all of them. So we could say something like next and previous saying. So next saying and previous saying, and we could just say this or saying index plus plus. But we could also do something like if plus plus this dot saying index equals this dot saying index. If it reaches the end of the array, then we make it this dot saying index equals 0. Otherwise I think this should be good. This would already be incremented, and then we could also say next saying, or should this should be next saying actually, and this should be minus minus this dot saying equals to or less than 0. Then we say this dot index, this dot saying index dot add. Is it add? No. Saying index. Oh, this dot sinks dot length -1. So yeah, I think this should do it. And now we would need some arrows for this. So the question is, where do we put them? Should we have like a next or a previous here? Because then that would mean we have a padding inside. So we could then have like this arrow and that arrow, and that would mean that we would have something like this, as you can see. But then also would mean that this guy would be a flex. So we could have like a flex inside, and then this guy, and then it could have a gap of 4. This should be arrow left. This should be arrow right. Something like that, as you can see, right? But this should also be like center. Ashar Ayub theme. Everybody keeps asking this. This is winter is coming, dark blue. So I think instead of arrow left, we could have like chevron left. Chevron. Right. These looks cool. These look super cool. The only thing that I'm interested in is that instead of then having, because right now you see I refresh, it shows loading with these icons and then it loads. So rather than having the ngf here, I would rather put it on the flex one. So we don't even show anything inside the flex. So nothing. And then we got these. Now these should be centered. So obviously I'm going to say justify center, or no, I'm not going to say, I'm going to say items center. So I can see those centered. And now I could go ahead and put some nice classes to this. So it's going to be the same thing as as this guy. So cursor pointer, hover opacity, blah, 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 and all of that. So I'm going to quickly go and update both my icons just like this. So MR2, boom, save. And now I can also like see. So I'm gonna close this so you can see this. So here, here, and if I can click it, it would also work. So it only works right now on the icons. I would imagine it would work like here as well, but it doesn't. Also, I would want to have like lesser paddings. So this guy right now has how much padding? Is it P4? So we could say like PY4. Yeah. So it could be PY4. Have you ever used Ionic framework? Yes, I've used it for like 4 years. So PY4. Yeah, I've worked with Ionic quite a lot. I think I actually contributed to the. I believe I contributed to the Ionic repository once as well. Did I? I think I did. Maybe I did. I think I did Ionic. Do I have Ionic? I do have Ionic. But why don't I see it in it was 4 years ago. What? No, it's here. Pull request. Got so many cool features. Absolutely. It has amazing features. Yeah, I actually pushed two requests. One was merged and one wasn't. So I pushed to Ionic Angular. When did I do it? In 2018. Too much work. Look at that. No. Anyways, so let's go back to our project. Now you can see that this is something is interesting. So here we have this whole thing. One icon goes there and one icon goes there. This is so how do we make sure that this is working fine in that case? So we should have like a py or px of 2 or 3 or 2 actually. So px of 2, px of 2, like this one, right? But I still see there's a lot of gap towards the right side. Why do I have? Ooh, because I have a margin. Do I have a margin on this one as well? Ah, okay. So I don't need a margin there. Let me get rid of the margin that we have. Where do we have the margin? Yeah. Margin right to margin right to. That means we also have the margin on this guy as well. The rotate button. Yeah, we don't need that. Let's remove this margin right. It looks like, yeah, away from here. You see, much better. There we go. So now I could actually click those, but still this, I don't know why, but this looks super weird. Or maybe it's okay. I love a small talk. It's the best when you're going to you're going to see it in the desktop version. It's 100%. It looks like this. Maybe I should lower the size a bit. So mid text 6XL maybe, and small one 3XL. Yeah, I think maybe that. So refresh. Now the loading itself doesn't have anything, so maybe put it in a div. So we could say P3, 3, and then loading. We could say P4 and text. I don't know. We could keep the same text or a different text, but I don't know why we would have or maybe just one level below this. So if we are doing this, then it should be something like this. So text center, it could be 2XL and 5XL. And if I save this, yeah, I think this is good. I hate the fact that this does this like because this is causing a layout shift. I don't know if we should fix the height somehow. What do you think? Could go ahead and say height 52. No, 52. So it's like 208 pixels. But now if I refresh, it doesn't look too bad to me, to be honest. Hmm. 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 Right now, see what happens. It like shifts everything up and down, right? I don't know if how I feel about it. Maybe I should put here at 64. I don't know. So here it doesn't really matter if I give it, but if I give it to the card, then that card fixes itself and nothing else moves. So like here, hmm, we could keep it. We could keep it. What do you think? Are you going over to the dark side? Ooh. All right. Let's fix the let's fix the next and the previous one, and we should be adding a couple of maybe a bigger size to those. So we could say on this one we could have a text Excel 3XL. Yeah, maybe these ones would go I don't know, 4XL. Hmm. Yeah, I think this is good. Do I see a lot of space here? Oh, no, this is a problem because in mobile then we would have a fixed maybe we could do like min. No, min. I'm gonna actually remove this. I don't want this. Oh, but then, ooh, there you go. Hmm. Could we have something like a max height 50 or 96? No, I mean we could do something like 1 out of, or actually 3. Can we do 3 out of 4? Does it work? Do you work? It does work. So max height 3 out of 4 is like this. So never gonna be like, no. Max height, we could say something like 70%. But then we should also have an overflow Y auto. So you could scroll it. But this looks weird. No. You gotta have that here, maybe. No. So it's like scroll there. Pew, pew, pew. Now we're getting into the weirdness of responsiveness, but I do understand that this is important. So let's see what we can do. So in the desktop app, I think it's good. I don't mind it. So this is good. On mobile, however, this feels very weird. Are you going over to the dark side? Maybe it shouldn't be as big. So maybe we could dial it down a bit. So this guy should be text, I don't know, Excel on mobile maybe, or even text base, something like this. It's impossible to get fired in Sweden. Hmm. You like need? I don't know what that is. What's need? And then this should be MD, text for Excel. Should be text base in this case. Yeah, there you go. So you see like this in the mobile. And the gap could also be decreased. Like the gap that we have is 4, but you could have a gap of 2, and then you have a gap of MD4. So now you see it's like much better. We already have padding. Do we need really gap? What if I remove the gaps? So we have like this. Like we don't have any gap. Would this work? I think it would. Sponge fart. Hello. How are you doing? Would this work? I think this would work. Maybe just put a gap of 1. Just tiny little gap. I think that would work. Okay, so now let's put the events there. So it could be click next. What was it called? Next? No. Next saying. And then the previous saying. So next saying. And then we got the previous saying. Previous. All right. So in this case, I could go to next. And now it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? So let's see. Saying.component.ts. So we got to go to the next saying, click it. So it's like saying index is 0, is plus plus equals to what. So next saying should be if I'm plus plus a, and this is sayings dot length, then you set it to 0. So if I say next, is it basically is 13, it increments it, so it's 14. It doesn't go inside it here, it's fine. Then it goes further. Now the length is 15 and it's 14, so plus plus means it would be 15, so it would go inside there, and now it would set it to 0. There we go. Cool. So are you going over to the dark side? Next, 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 next. And there we go. So we have a loop. I do see one problem here. You look at this one. I don't know. Maybe it is like very empty. Yeah, this one. So look at that. We got a bunch of space here. Why do we have space there? Come on. So this should be rather something like this. So this should also have a justify center, and that should fix it. So this should have a this should have a justify space between actually. And that is not there yet rendered because I've not used it. So this should be item center, and it's justify between actually, justify between. And let me also fix my camera. So I can see that we are like 2.5 hours in the app. So you could see that I am now about to sleep right here. All right, so we got this. We also need to maybe make this text. Oh, we already have the text as center, so we are good. Blah, 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 blah. And I think we're good. And we refresh. Oh, do we get, okay. So we get the purple one all the time. I think we're good still. All right. And in the desktop version, this is what we have. There we go. All right. So I think we're good. We're going to push this. We're going to deploy this. And then I think we should be good. And then I can go to sleep. So I can close this guy, and then push this as well. So I would have to then commit all the changes, hit add, git commit MVP of JH says, and then git status. I'm thinking if I should put the opacity back. So this guy has the opacity 50, but maybe I should have it. I should not have it, maybe the opacity 50. And I killed my server. So npm start. And this should be good. So we got FA rotate, right? I think this one, because it's clickable, it should not have opacity 50. But let's see, how does this look? So we have, yeah, I think this looks good. So maybe we could convert this opacity hover to something like a 50. So it looks like this, right? And the thing that I don't really like is that this guy keeps on changing, like poof, poof, poof. But this is also fun. I don't know. So also let's convert this opacity 20. Actually, this one, and then we also had this one, right? So we got opacity 50, and then here we should have opacity 50. So I'm removing that. There you go. I think this looks much better. All right, so let's do a git commit amend, and then we are going to, oh, did I, what? Git add, git status, and we do a Firebase, or we simply do an ng deploy. And that's also interesting because as soon as you run ng deploy, it is going to deploy the app to Firebase automatically, and I did not have to do anything at all, which is super cool. So we're going to look at this build. Hopefully we will not run into any issues, and then we should be able to just see this live, easy peasy, really quick. All right, let's see. Oh my god, so fast command line zoo using. It's magic. Actually, it's magic. It takes a lot of time and practice. All right. So we got the beginning deploy, this JSS. There we go. And now we have a live application. Let's see that in usage. There you go. And now I can also go and configure this because I would want to support custom domains. So for the hosting, I'm going to double check. So let's see. There we go. So add custom domain .com to an existing website. What do you mean? Okay. I don't know. I think we can do it. So it's now going to verify the ownership, which means that I have to add this to my providers. I'm gonna do it really quick. Give me 1 second. So GoDaddy and approve and login. Oh, actually I'm logged in. That's good. So my products. DNS. And we gotta add a new one. We gotta call it txt. character string userfinjas.com. Well, the host is dead, but what? The value is dead. That's fine. I don't know. It's probably gonna be standard. So add post. Ah, okay. Then no. So the name should be at, I think. Let's see if we can verify this. Please check your connection and try again. Do not delete your TXT records. Let's see. So Firebase hosting custom domain GoDaddy. Let's see if I can find it actually. What is an Apex domain key? Yeah, this is what I just did. All right, let's try this again actually. Maybe we just need to do it again. There you go. I did not do anything or change anything, and I think that's still good. So we finish this. We go to josefinsays.com and it doesn't do anything. So maybe we do need to deploy this again. Dashboard usage? No, that's no dashboard. And need setup, view. Ah, okay, got it. So then we require an A tag. All right, so if we refresh this now, let's see if I can refresh this now. No, it doesn't work. Do we also need to do some deployment again? Let's see if I can deploy this again. Alrighty. So let's refresh. Let's see what this guy has to do. So pending. That's good. So when changes are propagating, this may take up to 24 hours. Come on. We need it fast. Oh, we got it. No, we didn't get it. So it's the changes are still propagating. Okay. All right. So I think it's still going to work once the changes are propagated. So it's pending. It could take to 24 hours. So I'm not gonna sit here and wait for 24 hours, but I think we understood the point. So let me know let me know in the comments what do you think about today's video and the implementation of Angular Firebase. We did go through some hiccups, but I think we ended up using the modular API, and I think it's overall good. But I would look into why I couldn't make it work with that, because I do know
Hey guys, this is Chris J.
that because I do know that we should have it working. There is a video that I built or that I created for the Firebase Twitter. Let's see. So this should be like not this one, but this one. Twitter. Yeah, this one we actually created via the modular API. So this should have used it. And now it's showing me ads of GoDaddy. Let's see if I can find
Starting a business is exciting, but it can be stressful. You've got so many hurdles to get over all the time. But when you get your business online with GoDaddy, you'll get all the support you need. Domain name, e-commerce, web security, SEO, whatever it is you may need help with, we'll guide you through it at any time.
There you go.
Just reach out to us on our 24/7 support line or through WhatsApp.
The GoDaddy guide can. Marhaba to you too.
For all the help and tools you need to grow online, GoDaddy.
So there we have the module. So this one really worked well. So we used the provide Firestore, get Firestore, and then we had the app component that used the Firestore. And it worked actually. I don't know why it didn't work with our module. So what did we change? Provide Firebase app, utilize app, get out, get Firebase. It's quite the same. I don't know why it didn't work. I'm gonna have a look at that later. Hello to you too, my friend. How are you doing today? So at least we could go to jhsys.web.app and sing, and yeah, you could find it. But I would then also look into screensets.com later and see if everything works later as well. Oops. Hey everyone. I didn't know I was running the ad. So hello to everyone now. Cool. I think we're good here. I'm gonna be uploading this video later on, and then you can definitely follow it and work with it. So having said that, thank you everybody for joining in. I'm gonna go to sleep. It's about 1 a.m. now. I need to go to work, of course, in the morning, and it has been a fun little experiment. I hope you like what you see. If you do, press the thumbs up button and also take care of yourself and your families. And I'm going to see you later. Thank you. Bye, Agu. Nice to see you as always. See you. Take care. Good night.